as we're working through rotations, let me make this a little bit bigger so you can actually see it a little bit better. There are a few things you need. One thing you need is a shape of some kind. And we're going to start with a point. We're going to rotate a point because it's always easier to rotate points than it is to actually rotate an actual shape. So remember, it's just like reflections and translations. Translate the points, the vertices, those types of things. And you'll be all set there. You need a point of rotation. Kind of like a center point to all of this. Because what we're going to do is we're going to think of these as in terms of circles. And when we create our little arcs here, we're basically going to be creating circles around that contain each point. And once we're able to know that, then we can figure out what our rotation is. And then you need something called an angle of rotation. So you need to know how much we're going to rotate the shape. Alright, so I'm going to start with A here, and I'm going to put R down here. So I'm going to say that R is the point of rotation. And you could think of this as your center point. Although, technically that's not exactly what it is, but that's okay. We have our shape. Our shape is A, and we're going to rotate this to A prime. And then, let's say we want to rotate A. Let's go 90 degrees clockwise. Now, do you know the difference between clockwise and counterclockwise? Clockwise, if you're in a clock, that means you're going this way, just like a clock would. Counterclockwise would be going to the left. Now, a couple things that you can do, and I'll just use the safety compass because you guys have this more than any other one. Alright, you put your center point, which is this point right here, on your point of rotation. And then you line up alright, there's our center point at the point of rotation. And then you figure out that looks like the best one for this. Then you do the best you can to create a circle around there. So that would be step one. Create the circle containing point A. And then what we want to do is we want to create or draw this line right here. Now, if this is a circle, what would this be called? What would AR be? Starts with an R. radius of the circle. And what that does is, from the center point to any point on a circle, if we drew another line from R to the circle, it would be the exact same distance as from R to A. And that's what we want to do. We want to maintain the entire shape. This is another one of those isometric transformations which keeps everything the same. So we want to keep the same distance from R. So now what we want to do is we want to make sure that we go 90 degrees clockwise. So which way are we going? Are we going to the right or to the left? Alright, so we're going to head this way. And we want to go 90 degrees. Now you can use this because there's a protractor on here. I'll be honest, I'm not the biggest fan of the protractor that's on here, but if you wanted to, I'll zoom it in so you can actually see this a little bit better. That didn't help at all. There we go. What you do is you line up this arrow you put your center point in the center again, you line up the arrow, and where's 90 degrees? It says, if I'm going to the left, which one am I going to use, the upper or the lower? Upper. I'm going to use the upper one. And so I have to use the one at the top. So everything's good to go. And I'm pressing down here so I don't really want this to rotate at all. 90 degrees would be right here. The biggest thing with this is you have to make sure that you since I already have it, you see how this rotates really easy? You don't want that. You want that 0 to be on the arrow. You want that point to be there. You want the 0 to be on the arrow. And there's your 90 degrees. So I have my point. And so I was able to get my brand new point, which is right here. I'll call this A prime because this is my image. This is my pre-image. And this was 90 degrees. So like this would be step 1, drawing that would be step 2, figuring out the angle here would be step 3, and then coming up with this guy would be step 4. So 1, draw the circle around using R as your center. The circle goes through the point. Step 2 is to draw your radius. Three, build the angle of rotation, which we did. And then 4 would be find out where it intersects back on the circle, because now this is 90 degrees. So we got our 90 degrees in this case. Now, a couple other things. What if I took this line right here and all the way through to the other side? What would the angle here be? 180 degrees. Okay. So if I wanted to go 180 degrees, I could find a double prime at 180 degrees if I wanted to there. And a lot of times we won't go too crazy as far as figuring out exactly what the angles are. A lot of times you won't be given like a 51.3 degree angle of rotation. That would just be kind of weird. So, you'll be given fairly decent and normal angle measures. So, first off, any questions on just the basics of angle rotation?